Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, my fellow explorers. How are you? I trust you are well. I'm coming to you from a very cozy back bedroom where outside the rain is pouring. So if you can hear the pitter-patter of rain on my back windows, I do apologise, but hopefully it gives just a little bit of atmosphere to this episode, which is all about returning, I'm afraid to say, to self-doubt. So maybe the rain is quite apt. Before I go there though, I just want to give a massive thank you to everyone who's given feedback to Nat Lockett and Kelsey Anderson's episodes. You love them. The feedback we've had has just been phenomenal, wonderful, beautiful, and I know that you agree with me that both of them, just beautiful, beautiful people. Okay, let's go for it. Why is this episode returning to the theme of self-doubt? Well, you will know, dear listener, that over the past month or two, since I released the episode about authenticity, since my trip to Iceland back in the winter, I feel like my mediumship has taken off, I think is a fair description. And the readings I've been given in all my practice online groups, all my circles that I go to, my face-to-face one and the various online ones that I try to attend. All those readings, the vast majority of them seem to be really hitting. In fact, I'm not going to tell you today, but there was a very recent reading that I did for someone. And actually it made me feel very uncomfortable. But that reading was particularly, I wouldn't say difficult. I think it was just, I've never had that type of reading. It was a very unusual, I tend to get the lovey-dovey grandmothers and parents through, and this one was very different. And I'm noticing that as I'm going along, as my confidence was growing with this, was I attracting? I don't know if you can attract or not with this, but I know that I was being given people to translate who in life were very difficult. They weren't particularly nice people and they didn't do things very kindly. Well, we'll put it that way. And I've really been thinking, oh, okay, maybe this is where I'm being pulled towards. Maybe I'm being pulled towards being given the more difficult readings. And I'm open to that. I am open to that because I do feel there is a need for that. But I feel like I was being given a test. Could I handle this situation? Could I handle the topics that I felt I was being given? And not only could I handle them, but could I manage the sitter in a potentially upsetting situation in a way that would leave them feeling better for hearing from someone who they might not want to hear from, rather than just a generic, and dare I say generic, stereotypical lovey-dovey reading. So I was getting myself confident. I was getting more confident with that. For those of you that don't know, I've been on TikTok for a while now, but it's only been until recently that I've delved into it, and it's a bit of a Wild West, my God. And honestly, I think it deserves an entire episode just of its own. It's cowboy country out there when it comes to psychics and mediums on TikTok. And you scroll through and you think, my God, this is just awful. But I'm lucky because there are a few people, and they seem to be in my sort of network, who really emphasize on the ethics and the morality of giving a reading online, giving a reading on TikTok. So I've been watching these people and I've been thinking, do I do this? Do I press the live button? Part of me thought, just do it. And the other part of me thought, Matt, you are not ready for this. You are not in a space to give readings in this environment. To me, this is such a sacred job. Is that correct? Is it a job? It's such a sacred honor. That's the word. It's a sacred honor to be able to handle, to be able to give people these messages is so beautiful that I feel like almost sometimes doing it on TikTok there's an element of cheapening it, of making it cheaper. But there are ways of doing it. And I know there are people that I watch regularly. Nat, for one of them, Savannah, Dana, Sylvester, Destiny. These people who I've come to admire on this platform. Some of them I knew before. Obviously Nat I knew beforehand and Dana I knew beforehand. But the others, I've come to them all through TikTok. And I really admire them, their moral compass and their ethics when it comes to doing online readings. And I watch them and I think, oh, I could do that. That's really easy. What an idiot. What an idiot I was thinking it was easy. So I thought, just do it. Okay. And Simon said to me, come on, Matt, just do it. Just do it. And for anyone that is not on TikTok, you probably won't. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know. But maybe you might not quite understand all the stuff that I'm talking about here. But you will go on TikTok and you will see these people and they'll be putting cards. The platform allows you to interact with people. People can come up into your live room, either by writing you a message, or you can invite them to come up. You can have them on camera or just their voice. And some rooms are really energetic. Some rooms are really calm and inviting and relaxing. And I sat on the sofa and I thought, fuck it. Excuse my French, but fuck it. I'm going to do it. So I researched online. I found out if I could swear. I found out if I could promote. I went through all the settings because I wanted to know what settings I needed, what settings I didn't need. I turned on the 18 plus. So the people that only came into the room were over 18. I did not want to be reading inadvertently for people under the age of 18. I switched off all of the gifting systems, so I didn't want to encourage people to have to send me a rose or send me a galaxy or whatever that stuff is. I didn't want that on my live. I wanted it to be clean. I wanted it to be, for lack of a better word, pure. I absolutely rinsed the settings and I rinsed all the preparation beforehand for the technical side. But why did I want to do it? What was the pull towards going live? Was it to promote the podcast? Honestly, no. Was it visibility? Maybe it was to show that I could do it too. Was it wanting to show up differently? I think possibly that was the case. I wanted to show that it's all very well talking about the stuff. When I think about it, but I'm talking a lot about what I do, and I'm saying to myself, and I'm telling you, I'm talking into the ether here, that I can do readings and I give people a sense of relief, a sense of happiness when I give them these readings, a sense of knowing. But that only ever happens in practice environments, in circles where other people are open to that sort of reading. And I guess part of me wanted to show that I could do it to anyone. I've done platform. Really, realistically, what is the difference between doing a platform event and putting myself out online to an audience? I have to also ask the question, was there peer pressure from the platform itself? Now, when I say this, I want to highlight the word the platform, not the people. Because the lives that I watch, people that do this, I admire. I don't ever feel like they are encouraging other people to do this just because they are. However, does the platform, and I think that is an element here. There is an element of that. It shows people in a certain light. And isn't it interesting? How many times have I spoken about putting people on a pedestal? And in reality, they are just like you and I. They are just people. I didn't feel like, I felt like I wanted to do it, but I didn't feel like there was a reason for doing it. And again, that also mirrors my mediumship. I love doing it. At the moment, if I'm honest, I don't know my why. I don't know why I want to do this. I don't know why I enjoy doing it. I know a lot of people say, I want to help people. I really want to bring sparkle back to people's lives. I want to let people know that they're not alone. All that stuff, and that is all well and good, and that is all valid. For me, though, I honestly don't know my why. I'm just still exploring. And I guess, the whole premise of the Psychic Explorer is to explore different avenues, and this was just one other avenue to explore. So going back to what I was saying before, I was preparing. I was looking at the rules, what I could say, what I couldn't say, what I could do, what I couldn't do. I was looking at the settings. I was looking at how moderation works, how to nominate moderators, how to look at noise suppression. And do I need noise suppression on or off? Do I need to put the 18 plus toggle on and off and what that would mean? All the scaffolding was in place. But the house, the actual house, it was empty. I went on. I sat up, I put my candles on, I made sure the room was nice. I even made sure that the camera was on mirror so that if I was going to do a card reading and I showed the card to the camera, it would show the audience the card the right way around, because I noticed on lots of people when they do their lives and they show the card to the camera and it's got writing on it, you can't read it because it's back to front, just because the way that the cameras are set up. So I even did that, and I just pressed live. I just put, okay, fuck it, let's just do it, let's go. And I was just sat there for probably about 5 minutes, shuffling my brand new Lenormand cards, which I absolutely love, and I haven't really had much of an opportunity to use them, but I was just shuffling them. And I was shuffling them, and I was looking at the top right hand corner, and I thought, what do I do? Literally, no one's here. I'm online and I'm talking to myself, but I don't know what I'm talking about. I had no plan. I had no plan whatsoever. Do I talk about mediumship? Do I talk about my journey? Do I pull a card? Do I do a mediumship reading? What do I do when someone comes in? And finally, someone did come in. And it was like, go. And I didn't know what to do. And I kept saying, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, I don't actually know what I'm doing. And Simon was watching, and he was saying to me on text message, don't say you don't know what you're doing, because it sounds like you don't know what you're doing. But when I was saying, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, in my in my world, I was saying, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know how to do this, like in this environment, using this media. But of course, I totally see how it would have come across like, I don't know what I'm doing, yet I am showing myself as a psychic and a medium, yet I don't know what I'm doing. And that is me and my communication. When I say stuff, it doesn't always fully verbalize. I say these complete sentences in my head, yet the people around me look at me like, what? I'll give you an example. We went to a restaurant for lunch the other day on the weekend, and we went in, sat down, lovely guy came up to us and he said, can I get you guys a drink? And I looked at a cocktail list, and I love cocktails. Anyone that knows me knows that I love a good cocktail. And I was umming and ahhing, should I get a cocktail or should I not? And I said, in my head, I said, oh, I shouldn't get a cocktail because I'm terrible with cocktails. What I verbally said out loud was, oh no, cocktails, these are terrible. But in my head, I'm saying, these are lovely cocktails, but I am terrible with cocktails because I never know which one to go for. And all that makes perfect sense to me. And he says to me, the waiter says to me, oh, we are actually changing them in a couple of weeks to probably more generic ones. And I said, oh, that's a shame. And he sort of looked at me. I said, because these look like, you know, you don't want to get rid of the stuff that's really unusual, and you don't want to go to a menu that's really generic. And he's looking at me like, what? Anyway, he takes my order and he goes away, and Simon says to me, you know, you just said to him that these cocktails are terrible, and then you just said to him that it was such a shame that they were going to change the menu. And I said, oh shit, no. What I meant to say is X, Y, and is that these cocktails are lovely, but I'm terrible at choosing them. But that's not what came out. So when he came back, I told him that. And he said, I did wonder. I was very confused. And I was like, yeah, no, that's just me. So when I say stuff, the connection between what happens in my brain and what happens, something gets lost sometimes between me thinking something and me saying something. And that has gotten me into a lot of trouble before. So this is just a highlight that I was in my head from the first minute. I was like, I'm in my head. I know I'm in my head straight away. And I've only got one list. I've only got one viewer here. One person is watching me. And I started to sort of talk to them. And then Dana came in. Dana saw that I was online, and she came in and she started to repost. And suddenly, bit by bit, all my American circle friends started to come in. And it was really lovely. We started to have a nice conversation. But I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I didn't know how to handle or manage the conversation. I didn't know why I was there. I was just there, shuffling a card with a candle in the background, with no idea where to go from there. I was hyperventilating. I was so hot. It later transpired that the heated blanket that I sit on in this chair, because I've got a bit of a bad back at the moment, I put it on. I didn't realise it was on setting 7 out of 9. No wonder I was getting so hot and so clammy. I thought, oh my God, I'm seriously having a reaction to this live. Like, why am I so hot? And I was just in such a state. I gave a few people some readings. I gave the wonderful Janelle a reading. She said it was okay. And I don't care what she says. I know she's been very polite when she said, it was great, mate, it was great. I could hear, and more to the point, I could feel I wasn't as connected as I wanted to be, and as I maybe should have been. Then I stepped into a mediumship reading, and again, I was connecting, but it wasn't as on fire as I would have liked. And as I sit in this space, I'm noticing that these people are coming in. I'm seeing Destiny is coming in. I'm seeing this medium called Gia. She has come in. And I'm thinking, oh shit. These people are seeing me read for the first time. I know I'm not at my best here. I know that I'm out of my depth. I'm flailing. I'm really trying to hide it, but I don't think I am. And this is their first impression of me. And it all goes back to that, doesn't it? It all goes back to people's impression. Do I tell people about this? No, I don't. In my everyday people, when people ask me what I do, I'm a gardener. I do not tell them about this because I worry about what they are going to think of this. And again, that all goes back to that childhood trauma, doesn't it? That all goes back to me trying to please people because of the bullying, trying to not out myself sexuality wise. Fuck it, I am out there, I am there. Out myself with this, it's still a very heavily guarded thing as far as I'm concerned. It's guarded, guarded because I just don't want people to think other of me. And I realise, looking back at that moment, that near hyperventilation, that panic, that worry, it all stems back from that. And isn't it interesting how no matter how far we toodle along this path or down this path, it all comes down to self-development, doesn't it? And how many times have I heard people say that? And how many times have I said, yeah, I know that. And it's not until it smacks you in the face and I come off of a near 2-day self-deprecating spiral that I realise it myself. It was so uncomfortable. I found the whole experience really uncomfortable. When I come away from recording these podcasts, I've noticed a pattern. If I'm calm, if I'm slow, if I am the slower version of me, because I have the both. I have the hyper, yeah, let's do this, the excitable me. But if I lean into the slower, the quiet, the more thoughtful version of me, these episodes come across as so much more authentic. These episodes come across as so much more me. The energy that comes in and that comes through is more appealing, I feel, to other people, regardless of what the algorithm might tell me. I feel like it's capturing the right people. It's a slow burn, and that's fine. But the people it does catch, the people it does attract, are my people. Are you. And I came away from that experience realizing that I was trying to emulate something that is not my mediumship. I was trying to emulate something sensational. I was trying to emulate something showcasey, something amazing. Not what my mediumship is, and that is slow yet profound. And I hope I am not being too egotistical. I know I'm not being too egotistical, because I have just spent the past 48 hours spiraling and reflecting on, oh God, I made such an idiot of myself and I made such a fool of myself. to suddenly come to this realization. So I know that that's not ego talking. I know that my readings are on the more profound side when I allow them to be there. When I step up to be this caricature of a medium, this caricature of a social media person, personality that I am not, that does not come naturally to me, then that is when it goes pear-shaped. People in the room afterwards told me it was your first live, Matt. It was never going to be perfect, but you did really well. And I so appreciate that. Part of me thinks, and I mean this, and I say this with love and respect, that the Americans in the room are going to say that, because Americans are very much the glass is half full, and they are rewarding and they are encouraging and they are, yes, you can do this. Whereas me, my culture is self-deprecating, is self-doubting, is self-reflecting, not necessarily in a positive way. It can be, and it is, and it always comes back to that eventually. But that 48-hour spiral after something like this, after an experience like putting yourself out there, is not something that is strange to me, and it does hit harder than the encouragement. It's a shame, but it's just the way I am wired. It's just the way it is, and you know what? In a way, I'd almost rather have that spiral, that 48-hour death spiral, and come out the other side realizing what I've realized through listening to people that I respect, through listening to talks, through listening to podcasts, through sitting with it myself and just thinking, okay, how does this sit? How does this affect me? And how can I do this going forward in a different way, in a way that is more me? Because this isn't the first time, as I say, and that is the heart of it. That is the heart of all of this. Where else did I feel this? I felt this in early readings. I felt this in my first demonstrations, my first public demonstrations. I felt this so profoundly with this podcast. There is a pattern, and this pattern tells me how I meet, how I interact with feeling exposed, with feeling vulnerable. But crucially, I need to remind myself what happened after each of those crash moments, after each of those moments that I felt that I fell flat on my face. I got back up, I dusted myself off, and I tried again. And in the great wise words of Dana Willie, the spirit world does not care how many times you fall down. What they care about is how many times you get back up again. And as I say that, I feel very emotional. And I know that my team are with me because that's how they show their presence. And I am proud of myself that I did it. I'm not proud of how I handled it. I could have prepared for it so much more. But if I'd have done that, I wouldn't have learned this vital lesson, would I? And hey, isn't that true for all of us? How many times have we all fallen down? Have we all curled up, cringing with embarrassment to try it again? I am going to do it again, and I'm probably going to do it very soon. I don't know if it'll be better, but I do know that when I do it, I'm going to be looking at a sign that I'm going to draw myself. I've asked Simon to draw or paint this for me because he's a good artist, but he's not done it yet. I want just above my desk here in this back bedroom, in this lovely studio space that we've created, I want a framed drawing or a picture or painting of a reminder for me to just stay calm and trust that when I do that, the things I produce, the things that come through are so much more authentic, are so much better received than when I perform, than when I do things the way that people think that they should be done, or at the very least when I conform to how I think things should be done. I've got written down here that I don't know if my next one will be better. But I do know enough now to know that the only thing worse than the live that I did would be to not doing it again. So, my beautiful, wonderful explorers, if you see me on TikTok live, make sure you are kind. I may still be finding my feet, but that's okay. Okay, a bit of a gear shift now. Do you remember going back to the last solo episode when I was on the beach and I was telling you that I was going to start a new routine of meditating every single day? How many of you have bets I wouldn't do it? Well, I did it. I did do it for one day. I only did it for one day, and I'm afraid, I'm sorry. My desire for sleep overtook my want to meditate more often and more frequently. Did I fail? I don't know. I knew it probably wasn't going to happen, but at least I tried. I did try, but it didn't last. I did it for one day, and I woke up and thought, what am I doing? For whose benefit am I changing my practice for? Why am I depriving myself of 15 minutes extra sleep in the morning just to see if someone else's method works for me? Clearly it doesn't. And again, talking about lessons, as I was a moment ago, that is a lesson for me. That is a lesson that I don't need to follow everyone else's practice to make it work. I can develop my own practice. And what I have noticed over the past few weeks is that intention is very powerful. When I go into a practice space, if I go in there with the intention that I want to bring someone through or that this is going to be a successful reading, it tends to be. I have had a bit of a wobble recently, and I do feel that is from, or rather off the back of this first attempt at the TikTok live. And again, the death spiral that threw me into. Or maybe I'm just in one of those expansion phases where things slow down a bit before they open back up again and they ramp back up. I don't know. Stay tuned, have a listen, find out. Okay, just a couple of things just to mention before I wrap up this episode. Firstly, are you in your own development? Are you looking for a place where you can practice with like-minded people? Practice your mediumship, practice your tarot, practice your oracle, whatever it is that you do. I am holding a free online space every Wednesday and Sunday evening. I have been playing around with Sunday and Wednesday Explorers. This is the name I've sort of fallen on. Wednesday and Sunday Explorers for a little while now, for about a month or so. And I think I've got it into a place where I want it to be now. So if you are interested in joining me and other people for a lovely, very friendly, open practice space, come and join us. I will say that this is not a teaching space. This is purely just for practice. So if you are already in development, then this could be a really good space for you to continue your development in. It's on Zoom, and you can find the login details down below in the show notes. There's opportunity to practice one-on-one. There's opportunity to practice on platform. So whatever you like, whatever you prefer, it is there. Sundays is on for just over an hour, starting at 7:15 UK time, and Wednesdays is slightly more extended for 2 hours, again at 7:15 UK time. That is the evening, 7:15 PM UK time. So wherever you are in the world, please feel free to join. You are most welcome. Also, the very next episode you have got coming up is a very special one. It is with the phenomenal Anthony Lights. If you do not know of Anthony, check him out. He's appeared on lots and lots of podcasts. He has his own podcast with the wonderful Hayley B. And he so very generously gave his time to me to record an episode all about pride, sexuality. I did a pride episode last year with the wonderful Delana Luna. That episode was a very intellectual episode. I love it. I do love it because, as I said when I recorded that, every time I listen to it, I get something new. There's a new layer. With Anthony, we talk a bit more about his journey. We talk more about sexuality and religion versus spirituality, because he was brought up in a very conservative household. And we talk about how religion and how the views of others around him affected him. It's a really good conversation. I'm really looking forward to sharing that one with you. And so on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you Have a wonderful rest of your day. Sending you all my love. Take care, guys. Bye.